Hi Bobcats, this is Miss Lee, and today's video lesson is on multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Please make sure that you're taking notes as you watch this video. Okay, so we learned when we did our fraction multiplication that fractions can only be multiplied by other fractions. So if we have mixed numbers in our problem, we need to change them into improper fractions first before multiplying. So I've got an example over here for those who have forgotten how to do that. And I call it Texas backwards, where the T represents an addition symbol and the X represents multiplication. And I write it vertically between the whole number and the fraction. And then I say backwards because I start with the denominator instead of the numerator. And I'm going to go 3 times 2. So first I multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. And then to that, I add the numerator. I add 1, and I get 7. The denominator stays the same. It does not change, so it will stay at 3. So let's go ahead and do this. So first problem, 3 1/3 times 3/4. You always want to change your mixed numbers to improper fractions. There's my Texas backwards, and I start with my denominator. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So I get 10 as the numerator, and the denominator stays at 3. And I'm going to multiply that by 3/4. Okay, so multiply. Now we've got a fraction times fraction. Multiply the numerators. 10 times 3 is 30. Multiply the denominators. 3 times 4 is 12. And then you always have to simplify. And I know that 6 is a common factor. 6 goes into both 30 and 12. So 30 divided by 6 is 5. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So as an improper simplified fraction, it's 5/2. If you want to change that back to a mixed number, then you divide. 2 goes into 5 2 whole times with a 1 remainder, and the denominator stays the same. So either one, 5/2 or 2 1/2. Okay, let's try the next one. Now we have two mixed fractions that we're multiplying together. So we're going to have to do Texas backwards on both of them. So the first one, start with the denominator. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19. The denominator stays the same. And we're going to multiply that by this next mixed number that we're going to change to an improper fraction. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. That's your numerator, and the denominator stays the same. And now we're ready to multiply. 19 times 8 is 152. 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, let's simplify. I know I can divide both by 2. And I get 76 over 20. I can divide by 2 again. And I get, I'm running out of room. I'm going to have to squeeze it in here. 38 over 10. And I can divide by 2 again. And I get 19/5. I cannot simplify it further, so I can leave it improper, or I could change it back to a mixed number. 5 goes into 19 5 times with a 4 remainder, and the denominator stays the same. So 5 4/5 or 19/5. So go ahead and pause the video and solve the next one on your own, then come back and check to see if you got it correct. Okay, as an improper simplified fraction, you should have gotten 55/24. If you change that back to a mixed number, it would be 2 7/24. So when you changed your mixed number to an improper fraction, you should have gotten 11/4. Then you would multiply. Now for the division, to change it back to a mixed number, sometimes you have to do the long division off to the side of your paper, and that's fine. How many times will 24 go into 55? 2 whole times with a 7 remainder. That remainder is our new numerator, so 2 7/24. Okay, let's throw in a couple of word problems. Paige needs 3/4 of a yard of fabric for each apron she is making. She needs to make 7 aprons. How much fabric will she need for the project? So we're looking for the total. We know that is multiplication because each apron takes 3/4 and she wants to make 7. Okay, so there's our multiplication problem. Remember, everything has to be in fraction form. So I'm going to turn my 7 into a whole number by giving it a denominator of 1. Now I multiply my numerators and I multiply my denominators. I can't simplify that, but since this is a word problem, then we want to go ahead and change it back into a mixed number. So 4 goes into 21 5 whole times, which is 20, and I have 1 remainder. So my answer would be 5 1/4 yards. That's how much fabric she needs, and we are correct. Okay, a box of thumbtacks weighs 3.5 ounces. If a teacher had 4 1/7 boxes, how much would their combined weight be? Okay, so combined means we're still looking for a total, and we know that they weigh 3.5 ounces per box. So we're going to multiply by the number of boxes. So 3 1/2 times 4 1/7. And yes, you could change the order and you could have it be 4 1/7 times 3 1/2. Okay, we're going to have to do our Texas backwards. Change our mixed numbers into improper fractions. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7/2 times 7 times 4 is 28, plus 1 is 29/7. Okay, go ahead and do the math. If you need to do it off to the side, you can. 29 times 7, 63, and 14 plus 6 is 20. So we get 203 divided by 14. Okay, I don't think that can be simplified, so let's just go ahead and change it back to a mixed number. TIBO, top in, bottom out. 204 divided by 14. 14 goes into 20 once. Bring down your 4. And how many times will 14 go into 64? 4 times, which is 56. Subtract, you have an 8 remainder. So we have 14 and 8/14. Okay, now we can simplify this, and we can divide by 2. So it's going to be 14 and 4/7. 14 and 4/7 ounces. Because you need to make sure you have some kind of label on it. Let's check. Oh, 14 and 1/2. I did something wrong. Let's see here. Okay guys, I actually had to go back and redo my multiplication because I couldn't figure it out. I bet you found my mistake before I did, but my mistake was just a silly error. Instead of 203, I put 204. So I should have been dividing 14 into 203, which does go in 14, but now I have 7 remainder. So it gives me a 7 out of 14, which is where it simplifies to 14 and 1/2. Okay, so it should be 14 and 1/2 ounces, which is what we have over here. Sorry about that, but mistakes happen. So if you figured that out before I did, then good job. Okay, last example. Go ahead and pause the video, do this on your own, then come back and check your answer. Okay, so here we go. So it is a multiplication because we're trying to find out the total number of cups of flour needed. So 3 1/3, convert that to an improper fraction. Texas backwards, you get 2/3. And 4 3/7, converted to an improper fraction is 31/7. Multiply, get 310 over 21. Go ahead and change it back to a mixed number, and you get 14 and 16, 21. 14 and 16 out of 21 cups of flour. And that is correct. How did you do? All right. Good job, Bobcats. See you next time.